Alrighty, y'all, we just finished doing a couple of deliveries. For those of you that are new to my channel that are not familiar, I do deliveries. I've been doing deliveries for years now. The reason why I do deliveries is because of the freedom and it allows. I don't like being confined. I'll be confined by the great God, which I am, because in doing this delivery thing, I've encountered some situations and I am not able to say what I want, and I'm not able to do what I want because the great God of heaven has restricted me. I am a prisoner of the great God of heaven. He got me locked down. But other than that, in average everyday life, man, ain't nobody gonna be telling me what to do. When to get up, when to go to bed. Do this, say that, read this. This is our policy. I mean, don't misunderstand. Even in deliveries, you still have policies to follow. But what I'm saying is that you're not on anybody's schedule. You can do this whenever you like, and you can make pretty much more money than you make sitting at a desk job or, what have you. In some circumstances, Oh, excuse me. But nevertheless, y'all, this is what I want to talk about. So in doing deliveries, there are occasions when drivers will be stuck with food. And typically, because the great God of heaven has provided for me, has taken care of me. When those situations arise, I will give the food to someone in need. And there is this vagrant woman who pretty much is a staple on this side of town where I deliver. She's a staple, much like myself. Anyway, so when I have food that, whether the customer canceled or, there's a situation where I don't want to go through with the delivery, then they'll cancel it. So when I get stuck with the food, then I'll look for her and I'll give her the food. Well, nevertheless, last night it happened again. And I had a delivery from a very expensive restaurant. And inside of that restaurant, they have what's called a ghost kitchen. So it's a different name, it's a different brand. It still belongs to the restaurant. It's just like a little subsidiary, if that makes sense. So nevertheless, they have this burger shop there. And, it was a pin customer. Y'all, I'm going to write a book. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to write another book because I've already written one book. In fact, did I even do anything with that book? Did I take that book down? Yeah. I need to look into that. But nevertheless, so I couldn't find the lady. I won't share with you what her name is, but so I call her Miss Blank. In the future, maybe I'll share her name. But nevertheless, I couldn't find her. She wasn't typically where she is, you know what I'm saying? But as I was going, I came across two people that were walking. Now, mind you, they're in an area of poverty, extreme poverty. So I pull up and I ask them, I say, hey, do you guys eat meat? First, that's the first question. Do you all eat meat? Beef, carne, steak, burgers? Do you eat meat? Do you eat animals? You know how they are. How dare you? Did you just ask me if I eat steak? You know what I mean. Oh, man, those people, ugh. Anyway. So, they say they do. I said, would you guys like this meal? I said, I do deliveries, and I was not able to complete the delivery. And this is where it comes from. I said, the receipt is on the bag. I do not know what, the customer got exactly, but, and so there's a certain way, how would I say it? There's a certain sound of gratefulness. There's a certain sound of thankfulness that you can hear in a person's voice when they truly are appreciative and grateful at receiving something. You know what I mean? You can hear it in their voice. Just their whole demeanor, their whole reaction, their whole response. You can see it and you can feel it. Well, nevertheless, this woman and whomever she was walking with, now mind you, they're in a poor area. Poor. These people could not visit this restaurant in a year. Probably. Like they wouldn't, for many of my customers, like these restaurants are a regular thing for them, But this particular area, it's highly unlikely that you're ordering food from this restaurant. So nevertheless, y'all, when I gave them the food, it was just, it wasn't exactly thank you. What did she say? It was like, thanks. Something like that, And I gave them the food regardless. And, it brought to memory this one occasion where, and I'll go a little more into this type of stuff, but when I was taking care of my children when they were small, and I had received public assistance, right? Food stamps, right? So what I would do is there's a place called a co-op. And in order to save food stamps, to use the food stamps to buy the more expensive products like meat, right? Like meat and drinks and, pretty much that was it, was the meat that I was more concerned about because I had a deep freezer. But that's very expensive, right? And you can wipe out your whole food stamps, and it wasn't like they were giving me a great deal anyway. I don't know how these people are. Anyway. So, nevertheless, I would go to a co-op and they would charge, at the time when I first discovered it, it was like $9 or $11. It's much more now today, obviously. And so they let you go through and they'll give you a bag of meat, they'll give you a bag of dairy, they'll give you a bag of whatever, and then they'll tell you to go through what they have is like an aisle, and it has a bunch of additional stuff, fruits, vegetables, whatever else that other farmers or stores have donated, right? And then they'll tell you, hey, limit of this or get as much as you can use, right? And so anytime that I would do that, I would always get extra thinking of my neighbors. You know what I'm saying? And so nevertheless, on this one occasion, my children had already, moved out. Well, no, actually, I had the younger one, my oldest boy, he had moved out. And so when I did the co-op, I would always get extra for him and take it over to his apartment, and then I would give some to his neighbors, right, if they could use it. Well, nevertheless, on this one occasion, now mind you, it wasn't the greatest complex, but hey, my son got it. And he was doing all right, you know what I mean? young man, not in jail, you know, working, paying his rent, doing what he needed to do for himself. And so, you know, of course, mom would come through with whatever could assist him, right? So nevertheless, I would make these bags, prepare the fruits, the potatoes, whatever the case, and I would go through the complex and just knock on the door and ask the people if they could use whatever, right? So I come to this one particular unit. I knock on the door. The lady comes out. I said, hey, can you use whatever, right? She comes out. I give her the bag. And y'all, guess what she says? Is that all? Yeah, and I turned around so fast. And I told that lady, I said, you could be getting nothing for free. I said, you can get absolutely nothing. I said, considering you're getting this for free. That's the type of attitude that I thought of when I gave the burgers last night, right? And so there's a certain particular type of population, I guess, you know, people that use the system, right? And so there's always these flags, and there's these, you know, little behaviors and little nuances that that typically are common to a population of people that are used of being on the begging end and expecting with no change in behavior, no change in frame of mind, no change in effort, no change in nothing. Just give me to the point that they have been enabled so much so that they feel no gratitude even though they're at the bottom. That's what I was reminded of last night. So anyway, y'all, I know that Miss Lady, like I said, the vagrant lady, you know, the homeless woman, she certainly would have been thankful. She always is thankful when I catch her and I, you know, have something for her. And some of the guys too, sometimes, you know, when I have extra, like the city workers, sometimes they're out really late at night or they start really early in the morning. And so I'll catch them. I'll be like, hey guys, this is what I have. And they'll be so thankful. I remember one time this one guy, he had just, look at the great God, now that I'm talking about it. The great God of heaven is so kind and merciful. So I remember this one occasion, this guy, he was cleaning one of the plazas, and I think I still have the video of the guy cussing me out. And I was like, I ain't gonna be delivering. I don't even want any contact with you, sir. He was like, you go ahead and have them tacos then. He was saying, so am I can't remember. I know it had something to do with tacos. But nevertheless, so I had all this food, and so the guy, I saw the guy preparing his equipment, so I went over there and I told him what had happened, and I gave it. He said, oh man, he said, thank you. He said, I was just thinking, what could I possibly afford for lunch? And so I gave it to him. He said, I said, now look at that. I said, you don't even have to spend any money. He said, oh man, thank you. He just said, thank you, you know, because you never know what the situation could have been, you know. He could have been in a situation where, you know, maybe the electricity bill was too high. He might have had, you know, might have been short on something or have to cut back on this in order to pay that. You know what I'm saying? We all been there. Some of us are still there. And so nevertheless, he just kept saying, thank you. And you could just hear it in his voice and you could just see it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like when gratitude You can see it, you can hear it, and you can feel it when somebody else expresses their gratitude and their thankfulness for situations like that. But y'all, that lady said, "Is this all?" Lady, you better get back in your apartment before these potatoes go flying. Because that was me back then. Because y'all, even then I had to, kind of had to restrain myself. But anyhow, so y'all, I hope that makes sense what I was trying to share with you guys. Gratitude, gratefulness. If you can still feel that, and if you actually honestly do feel it, you got a chance. Let me say that. You got a chance. You got a chance. When you can't feel it, anyway. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening.